Hey everybody, it's Peter from Brantford Kia, and we are live from our video bay. As you can tell, it's a pretty much finished video bay now. If you've been watching for a while, a lot of this was unfinished. You can see there's still some touch-ups along the top. Just so you know, we may be joined by a couple people just working outside the other door over there, so don't panic if you see someone in here with me. All right, today we're talking Kia Sorento and Kia Sedona, but before we get to that, I'm gonna jump in over here. If you're not watching with us live, you can join us live every day at 2 o'clock. You just go to our Brantford Kia YouTube page. So go to YouTube, search for Brantford Kia, look for our page right there. You're probably already on it right now if you're watching. And all you have to do is refresh the page. And it looks like they changed this the past couple days. So once we refresh the page, sometimes you'll see a live video. You do not right now. So we're gonna go to the videos section right here, and you will see right there is our live video. It says our live video right there in the section right there. We're gonna hit live now, and there we go. And you will see my friend Richie from Florida, Tebow fan. He's been asking for Sorento videos for a while, and here we are. We're doing one just for you, and a number of other people that have also asked for it. All right, so here we go. We've got a lot to talk about today, but first, before we do anything crazy like talk about cars, we're gonna talk about emotions. We're gonna talk about why people buy cars, and people buy cars because they feel like one is better than them for the other. And that's fine. That's a perfectly good way to buy a car if you feel one's better. The problem is if you just go purely on feelings, you end up with a Ferrari and you maybe need something like a Sedona. So you have to balance your feelings with your needs. So we're gonna, if you saw my Instagram post today, we were talking about feelings and facts. Today we're gonna talk about the facts. And there are also biases. Some people are biased against minivans. I am gonna be right up front. That is a better car for the money than this car, unless you need to tow a little bit more, or if you need all-wheel drive, and there may be a few other reasons, which we'll just figure out throughout the video. But really, minivans are still some of the most practical cars. I only have 2 kids. I don't have a minivan, but minivans are really some of the most, some of the best vehicles out there for the money, for the features, for dollar, and also for the just practicality, the space. So, Sorento feels like a luxury SUV when they drove it. That's exactly right. So that's the thing. So I'm not gonna bash anybody who likes the Sorento better. When we talk about biases, I'd like to throw mine out there right away sometimes because that may show you sort of where I'm leaning and it helps you. So here we go. We've got a Sedona over here, and they're both 2020 models. They are both LX Plus. Now the Sorento is available in an LX Plus with, or sorry, an LX Plus with a 4-cylinder. So these are LX Plus V6 models for the Sorento. And you will see over here an LX Plus V6 as well. Now this, the minivan here, the Sedona, only comes in a V6. So that's the comparison. We're looking at an LX Plus versus LX Plus, Kia versus Kia, and we're trying to figure out which one is the best vehicle for you. And before we go too much further, if at any point I've earned your like, if there's something you like in this video, whether it's my presentation, whether it's the vehicle itself, whether it's a button on the door, if there's something that you like, do me a favor and hit the like button on this video. My bosses like to see likes, and that means that you're interested. And again, if I've earned your subscription at some point, feel free to let me know. If you are commenting with us here, I have a big screen over here so I can see your comments. They do show up on my screen, but sometimes I miss them in the initial, because they disappear fairly quickly. So I will come back to them over here. All right. The last thing I'm going to say before we get to the cars is if you want to know what we're doing every day at 2 o'clock, visit me on Instagram. So, follow me on Instagram at Peter_Brantford_Kia every single weekday. I do a story between 8 and 9 in the morning, and I put a post up of what we're going to put in the video bay that day. And sometimes what's helpful is people ask me questions on the Instagram post, and I know that I can address that during the video. So you get to ask questions before I even start. Some of my regulars, this is a very important comment. Have you got the keys? So got the keys is a question because my regulars know that I often lose the keys. Now, for the Sorento or for the Sedona, real up front, they're just working on a window there, so I usually put the driver's window down. I can't put the driver's window down. I have the key in my pocket for that one. I do not have the key in the pocket for this one, so I'm gonna show you that right now, and then I can put it in my pocket. All right, keys actually are something interesting to show for a minivan because many of you have seen our keys for a while. Let me set them both on the table here. All right, it's frozen for you. Try refreshing. It shouldn't be frozen for you. I think it's, everybody else is working. I see my live feed is working fine. So if it's frozen for you, feel free to refresh. There we go. Here are the keys. Now you can guess which one is for the Sedona and which one is for the which one is one for the Sorento. So the Sedona, of course, has sliding doors. If you hold those buttons, those doors are sliding. If you hold this button here, you will unlock the Sorento trunk, but it does not have a powered liftgate. We're going to talk about cargo space in 1 second. We're going to hit that first, actually. And but just so you know, those are the keys that you get on these vehicles. Now, one other really quick thing before we get right into the vehicles. All of you know, of course, we're going through this COVID-19 stuff, coronavirus stuff. What that means in Canada for Kia is they have put on some of the best deals that you can find. So if you're looking for Kia to make 6 months worth of your payments, the Sorento has that right now. It's not deferred payments. It's not 3 months of no payments like some of our competitors. It's 6 months of Kia making your payments. It's a crazy good deal. The Sorento has that right now. It's one of our best-selling vehicles, and you get that deal. So again, the vehicle costs a little bit more. We're going to talk about cost real quick, and then we'll jump in. Because again, just because they're the same trim level doesn't mean they cost the exact same amount. So let me just show you real quick what we're talking about. Here we go, Sedona. We are at the LX Plus model. LX Plus MSRP $34,595. When we go to Sorento, we are at the LX V6 model, which is $36,095. So it is a little bit more money for this vehicle. Again, same engine. So that's why I always say minivans make are a great value for what you get. And if they ever just introduced a minivan today, it would be like the ultimate crossover. But if you grew up in the 80s, you grew up with really underpowered vehicles and boring minivans. And therefore, you always think minivans are boring. All right, we are going to start with the Teddy test. Anybody want to guess which vehicle the Teddy's in? I'll let you guess right now. So those of you that are not regulars, we always use a teddy bear to measure trunk space. And before you all guess, I'm going to disappoint you all. We're going to open that trunk. Now you can see I just touched the back there. There's a lot of ways to open this trunk. We're going to talk about that closer to the end of the video. You can see it is a powered tailgate. Again, the lower priced vehicle has a powered tailgate. You have a ton of space in here. Now you know there's no Teddy in here. The bad news is Teddy's gone missing. I may have left him in the car from yesterday. I did not pull the cars out of the bay yesterday because I had to go and do some other stuff. So I have to go searching for Teddy today. So whichever vehicle he was last in is probably where I should go check. In the minivan here, you get a ton of cargo space. So these floor mats are actually stacked up to take even more space. The depth of the floor in this vehicle is deeper than any other vehicle we have. So you can, of course, fold these seats down, but I left them up in this vehicle because you have a massive trunk space in the minivan. Of course, that's what you would expect in a Sedona. Those seats are pretty easy to fold down. I'm not going to do it on camera right now. If you are interested in a full cargo review, we have a video that seems to do really well on our YouTube channel. You can check that out. Just look up Sedona Cargo Review, Brantford Kia, Cargo Space, Brantford Kia. You'll find that video. It's got 100,000 plus views. It's a fairly good video to show you cargo space, and it includes me sitting in the trunk right back here. So if you're looking for that kind of fun, there you go. But you have a ton of space back here. Now, I want to compare that over here to the Sorento. The Sorento is a huge trunk, or has a huge trunk. Now, of course, this one is a 7-passenger model. So the minivan is 8 passengers. Same thing with the seats here. In this vehicle, I have to keep the seats down to keep that tremendous amount of trunk space. Right here, you guys are helping me. You said I left the Teddy in the Celto, so that narrows it down for where I have to look later. All right there you can see there's some underfloor storage there, but really, you have to have the seats down to have a tremendous amount of space in the Sorento. Again, this is why I'm biased towards the Sedona on some of my recommendations to families about which vehicle is better for them. That doesn't mean the Sorento is a bad car. It's actually an excellent car, and it's a car I would probably take myself over a Sedona because I don't have the need for something as big or as value-filled as the Sorento or as the Sedona. All right, so there's cargo space, no Teddy, and yeah, free Teddy. We will find Teddy, I promise. We'll bring him back tomorrow somewhere, hopefully. All right, what I want to talk about now is we're going to talk seating space in a second, but we're going to go through some of the technology. Now, again, the Sedona in this case is a lower priced vehicle. Both have the same engine, both have the same 8-speed transmission. But again, for the lower priced vehicle, you're doing really well here in the LX Plus model. So to keep in mind where an LX Plus sits in the Sedona lineup, an LX Plus Sedona is the second from the bottom. So there's one lower trim. It's an LX model. And this is the second from the bottom trim. A lot of our competitors have vehicles that are priced significantly more than this vehicle. I really feel that when you're looking at a minivan, this trim specifically is a minivan that most people are looking for. We have an SX model. It's got a sunroof and SX Tech as well. But this, to me, seems like the perfect minivan for most of the people. Somebody says, Andy says he thinks this is the same model. This is the same model. Perfect. All right, let's jump in here. Okay, 2020, things are different. Again, if you see something here, again, they're doing a little tiny bit of work on this one car, so there are a couple pieces missing. I've been told not to put down the driver's window. If I do that, we'll all find out together what's going to happen, and hopefully that nothing bad happens. All right, inside here, if you've been following our videos for a while, you see something pretty familiar. So instead of having a sort of a single glass pane here, you can see the gauges are into circular gauges. Now, the problem with a single eye camera compared to a dual eye human being is you do see some glare in the camera. I don't see any of the glare that you're seeing. It's just the way the camera hits it, and you can see it's quite a bit there on the camera. Again, this wouldn't normally be there when you're driving, so that helps a little bit. But that's what you're seeing, is the reflection off of this white piece there. So don't worry about that. In the center, you have a number of things, multi-information display down there. It's 23 degrees Celsius in here. It's a lot warmer outside. Over here, again, for a second from the bottom, nearly base model minivan, you get some pretty good stuff in here. So here we go. Android Auto, Apple CarPlay. You guys know that I like to show the backup cameras. Here is a backup camera, and if you're looking at minivans, you're not going to find a clearer backup camera than this one. I'm filming a screen. Think about filming your TV and how much the clarity shows through. It doesn't really show through, but you can count every line on the floor there. You can see the door handle. I can see, the notches in the door handle. I can see all kinds of stuff. So very, very clear backup cameras, and very large. This is at least a 7-inch screen. Might even be our 8-inch screen. I'm sorry, I didn't double check that before I got in. But it is a large screen there. You can see my hand is, smaller than it is. And so huge screen there, which is super helpful. Down here, you do have a manual climate control system. And again, LX Plus, that works just fine for me because this is the clearest, easiest to use manual controls you can find. You've got clear buttons that tell you what's going on. A lot of times you have a single button to sort of cycle through the things, or where you put the air. This one you have multiple buttons, which I think makes more sense for a lot of people. It makes it quick and easy to use. You can direct the air exactly where you want it to go, and that's helpful. And the other thing that's cool is you have this rear air conditioner, rear climate control system. You can set it for hot or cold. And what's cool about that is even though it's a manual climate control system, this rear lock means that I can keep my rear passengers from adjusting it, or I can turn it over to them, which is over here. Come on, camera. I can turn my climate control over to my rear passengers. They can adjust the temperature. They can adjust where they want it on themselves. And this is just the rear air. So you've got vents in the ceiling like that. And middle row and rear row have those vents. And they can control it. If I don't have people that I can trust with those controls, then I take them back myself. You're not going to get that in the Sorento the same way. So we're going to talk about that in a second. Whoops, the camera's getting stuck here. There we go. So that's kind of a cool system. And again, a lot of the glare you're seeing is because the camera is right in front. I'm over here, so I don't see that reflection there. Down here, another thing that's pretty cool about this Sedona, excuse me, right here, that's where I can set my phone. I don't know if you can see it clearly. That's a wireless phone charging pad, which means I just set my phone here and it is charged. And if you've never had a wireless phone charging pad, that's just amazing. You set your phone down, it's almost always charged. You never run low just because you hop in the car 15 minutes here, 15 minutes there, your phone's charging during that time. We never do that in the middle of the day, and works great. If you need to plug in for Android Auto, Apple CarPlay, just plug in right there. All right, automatic transmission, same thing in both vehicles. Whoops, just hit the camera. Sometimes that messes it up. We're good, okay. Automatic transmission, put it in drive. If you want to manually shift, you can. Shift up, shift down, like that. 8 gear ratios in this vehicle. Used to be 6, now it's 8. So if you're looking at a used model or an older model, the current one has 8-speed transmission. The previous one, the original ones, had 6 speeds. So that is a difference in transmissions. You do not have drive modes per se in the Sedona. So in the minivan, no drive modes, but you do have an active eco button. So that active eco, if you're driving efficiently anyways, it will work with you to get great fuel efficiency. So 2 drive modes, normal and eco, but that's it. You do have rump roasters, heated seats. I don't need those today, so we're gonna turn that off. And you also have a standard heated steering wheel. These are not options on this car. This is all standard on the LX Plus model. So great features there. Backup beepers as well. That's what that tells you. You can turn those beepers off. So if I was to back up and approach something, let me just show that backup camera again. If I'm approaching something, let's say something's coming up to here, I will get progressively quicker beeps until I have a solid beep, and that will warn me that things are nearby. And so in addition to having a super clear screen that you can see, if you're not watching that screen because let's say the kid in the back is making some noise, you will hear some beeping. That will be a good warning to you to maybe stop driving backwards. All right, like I said, some parts in this car just because we're doing a little bit of work on one little piece on it. Over here, this is my favorite reason for going to the LX Plus model instead of just the LX. I mentioned that the driver's seat's a power seat, so is the passenger seat. And the passenger seat has adjustments that you can use from the driver's side. So if you have people getting in the back, you can create some room for them. If you have an older person maybe that's having trouble adjusting the seat to get comfortable in the front, sometimes they just have trouble reaching down and finding the right spots, you can put that back and forth. So I think that's a super practical thing to have in a minivan, so you can create tons of space in the rear. The other thing you've got up top, let me scroll all the way up, not just a powered trunk, you've also got powered side doors, and that means that both of these open the doors. I just opened the driver's side sliding door. Over here, you've got your typical minivan mirror, which shows you me. Hey, everybody. It also shows me my fancy little camera rig, but more importantly, it shows you all of my passengers. So that is a cool little thing that is common in minivans, but the Sedona has that. Again, value, 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 value. Over here, cruise control on the wheel, audio controls on the wheel, typical stuff that you would see in, you know, every other Kia. Almost every other Kia. Yeah, every other Kia. All right, we're gonna jump out for a second. We'll get to the rear seat. One thing I wanna point out, auto mirrors as well. But you can also fold those mirrors in. This is a fairly wide vehicle, so if I wanted to, I could fold those mirrors all the way in. And you can see they tuck up nicely against the door. And that gives you just a little less width for when those kids are taking those hockey sticks out from the garage right next to your car. Modern garages, not very big. All right, 14 minutes in, 16 minutes in, excuse me. If I've earned anybody's likes that I didn't earn before, let me know by hitting that like button. If not, hey, I hear you, I get it. My wife doesn't watch these videos either. All right, now we talk about the Sorento. So the Sorento, again, power seats here. You know what? I'm pretty sure it doesn't have a powered passenger seat, but let me just double check. I am correct. Okay, so again, powered passenger seat in the Sedona, not in the LX Plus Sorento. You can get that, but you gotta move up a few trim lines. Cloth seats in both. This is also what they call Yes Essential Fabrics. Both vehicles have cloth seats. The Sedona, as you can see in the background, oh, no you can't, yeah, a little bit lighter seats. These ones are a little bit darker seats. Only that color in the Sedona, only this color in the Sorento. All right, Richie knows exactly what I'm gonna talk about. Before I talk about anything else, I'm gonna talk about drive modes because Richie's been asking me for a while to talk about drive modes. When we talk about drive modes, in the Sorento, you don't just have an eco mode. 2020 Sorento, let me just turn this off. 2020 Sorento, you have drive modes. You can see in the middle there, it says comfort, right above the P. It's probably hard to read for you right now. Comfort, eco, sport, and smart. So sport mode might be useful if you want to drive a little aggressively. It keeps the revs up, but I'm a big fan of the smart mode. Smart mode sort of balances that eco mode, and when you get into throttle, it'll move it into comfort or sport as necessary. Now, I've never been a big fan of comfort mode because I didn't really know the reason for it with the smart mode. However, my buddy Richie, who's in Florida, has been begging me to talk about that comfort mode because he says he loves the comfort mode because it gives him a real smooth ride. He loves driving in that mode. So Richie, you've asked for it, I have delivered. So there we go. My opinion isn't the only one that matters. There's a lot of other opinions, and that's why it's good. That's why we're not talking opinions. Again, sometimes the people have an opinion about a car. So here we go. Screen over here. First of all, dash, same thing as a lot of our Kias. Basically the same setup. You've got all single panel of glass instead of the separate screens there, but basically identical setup here. Now you do have a little bit more options in here. You've got all-wheel drive menu because you have all-wheel drive. Hey, there's Tim Gross. Everybody who's looking at Tim, who sometimes comments on our videos, he is giving me a thumbs up, which means you should give a thumbs up for Tim. All right, over here, same screen exactly. So we've got same screen, same software, Android Auto, Apple CarPlay. That's the kind of thing you expect in all of these cars. Down here, you do have an automatic dual zone climate control system. So again, when we talk about value, you are paying a little bit more for this car. Where am I? Turn the fan down a little bit. You are paying a little bit more for this car, but you do get some features for that. You know, it's not just the Sedona is better all the way around. That is a feature you don't have. You can see heated seats, 3 levels of rump roasters, and also the heated steering wheel as well. Down here, you do have that wireless charge pad as well. So again, same type of things in both cars. If that's what you want, you get the automatic climate control. Engine transmission, same thing exactly. Now, here's the big difference. On the Sorento, you get 5,000 pounds of towing. On the Sedona, you get 3,500 pounds of towing. So that is a difference. If you're towing something a little bit heavier, if you're towing something over 3,000 pounds, go with the Sorento. Because by the time you get 3,000 pounds and all your people onto this Sedona, it's going to be a little bit much for you. All-wheel drive system as well. If all-wheel drive matters to you, the Sorento can be had with all-wheel drive. So, a little bit different look on the steering wheel, same basic controls exactly. So although they look different, they're basically the same. Automatic headlights, automatic climate control, or sorry, automatic Bluetooth control. Headlights, there we go. These mirrors, they do not fold in. They are powered, but unlike the Sorento, they do not fold in. Similar width to these vehicles, but different mirror setup on this particular trim line. So, very similar. I'm going to jump to your questions. We're 20 minutes in. We usually go about a half an hour. I'm certainly willing to stay on longer if I need to, if you have some questions. But I want to make sure I'm not missing your questions. I know there was a few early on that I skipped, so let me just scroll back through them. I'll go through here. All right. Okay, you guys are all upset that I left Teddy somewhere. That happens more often than you think. Yesterday I had to zip out after this video and I had to help somebody out. And that meant that somebody else took the vehicles out of the bay for me. And nobody looks for Teddy. Okay, so the key. Oh, so some people's keys are not the chrome style like that. Depends on the trim line. Might be the year as well. A lot of them are plastic keys. These ones are chrome plastic. Okay. Third row seats, yeah, you guys like the third row seats. So here's when people talk about third row seats, I'm not gonna get into these ones today just because it's warm in here. I mean, I could be convinced if you really needed me to. But the rear seats third row seats in the Sorento, my argument is if you regularly need to take 7 people, that's your vehicle. That's absolutely your vehicle. These are what I call jump seats. I think having the seats down like this and being able to not take another car because you need to take another couple with you, that makes a ton of sense. These are comfortable for an adult. I could certainly drive an hour back there and be perfectly fine. I would not recommend you stick full-size people back there on a full-time basis. The other problem with sticking kids back there is it's a little bit hard to get to. So you need kids that are a little bit able to move on their own, not child seats or something like that. We mentioned rear air conditioning controls in the, or rear climate controls in the Sedona. There is a rear climate here, but it's just air conditioning. It is not really heating control in the rear seats, the third row seats back there. So they have some control. You can, same thing, you can lock them out, control it yourself. But you do have some control back there as well. All right, is that pollen you're asking? It probably is. Leather stitching, wood grain all across the dash, yeah. So again, some people say the Sorento looks a little more high-end, even at this trim level. I think you're probably right. Let's just take a quick look at the doors here. This black wood grain-ish type trim, you can see there is a little bit of wood grain in there. It looks very black in our video bay. It wraps around, and I'll show you maybe from this side here. You can see that panel there wraps around the dash, and it does look fairly high-end. It also tucks into the dash. It looks to me to be a little more high-end. Now keep that in mind. We're gonna go over to the Sedona and take a quick peek over there. Yeah, some people say that's beautiful, like Tim was saying, or not Tim, Richie was saying that's Tipo fan there. He's saying it's beautiful in the Sorento. It really is. It is a nice look. And I'll show you in this one. You don't have that quite same, more of a utilitarian type look. Again, less expensive vehicle here, so pretty good options, but you do lose some of that wood grainy trim, and you get the plastics, and that's fine. You get an extra little glove box up here, which has, I forgot what that is in there. Oh, the bag for your spare tire. Keep it clean if you had to stick inside. Other rear glove box there. There's 2 glove boxes, of course. Spaces in the door, spaces down there. There's a space over here, if I can get the camera to work with me. Come on, camera. Nope, hold on. There is a space on the passenger side by your feet. Little USB port there and a space there, in addition to all the spaces in the center here. Armrest has tons of depth in there. And a lot of people are asking to see some of this stuff. So sunglasses holder is over here. Makes a lot more sense than up top. Also, they don't make as much rattling noises in there. Sometimes they do up top, and that's because you have this up here. So utilitarian kind of look to this trim of minivan. A little bit less nice decorative type stuff, but still very practical. I wish your Sorento had rear AC in the back of it. You need it in Florida. Yeah, we need it here today. I don't know the conversion, but it's feeling like 40 degrees Celsius here. So somebody can hop online and tell me what that is in Fahrenheit. I think that's probably in the 90s or so, but that feels like temperature. Is there Bluetooth so I can play your Gucci Mane? There is Bluetooth in both of these. Bluetooth phones, of course, but also Bluetooth streaming audio. You can do that in both. You have AM, FM. If it has Android Auto and Apple CarPlay, which these vehicles do, they do not have Sirius Satellite XM anymore until you move up to a higher trim level. Sometimes the earlier Sorentos had that, but they didn't have Android Auto and Apple CarPlay. So, okay, let me just see if I missed anything else. I should get a Hellcat. We should get a Hellcat. I don't know how I do it in the video bay, but I would certainly have fun with it on my own. What's your favorite colors on both cars? Okay, that's, I don't know, man. there's a lot of good colors on these cars. So the Sedona has a lot less colors than the Sorento, if I'm correct. Let's just quickly take a quick look because I'm already on the page. Sorento, overview, colors, Imperial Blue. So there's the Imperial Blue, there's the, where are we? I think there's Gravity Gray. I don't know, 2 grays, there's your colors right there on the Sorento. So actually not as many as I thought. Sedona, you have overview right there. Same colors, Thunder Gray, white, black. So they're both kind of same. I'm a big fan of the whites on these cars. I know that the trim line, you can get this vehicle with the black line edition, has black wheels, larger size wheels as well. That's a pretty good looking car. Especially at this trim level. You get a lot of features, but you get a real more sport look with the black rims. We had that in here in the video bay a little while ago, and I chose not to bring it in today just because I wanted to keep these cars a little closer in color. That black line edition does add on some price with larger wheels that are black, and you get black roof rails. I should mention both vehicles have roof rails. I'm a camper and a kayaker. A lot of competitive vehicles, especially this class in SUV, they start the roof rails back here, and actually the Sedona does that, but the Sedona is a longer roof, so you've got a little bit different styles. So on a minivan, this works. You still have, probably 6 feet long or so roof rails right up there, because even though they start beyond the driver's door, that's common to do for a lot of manufacturers, even on their SUVs. And on some of the SUVs, it gets to be a pretty short roof rack. So you can see nice long roof rack if you have a kayak or a canoe or something like that. You want your bars spread wide. Lots of place to take luggage or even skis and ski boxes. Great option that way. All right, let me just make sure I didn't miss some of your questions here again. If you have a question about either of these vehicles that I haven't answered, why don't you retype it now? I'm going to take a quick look. I will show you. I will make sure I get to that. Again, we talked about same engine, same transmission. That matters because efficiency is very similar on these vehicles as well. But where are we? Sunroofs. Okay, sunroof you can get moving up. So that's the other thing. If you want a sunroof, you move up the trim lines here. The EX Plus, EX or EX Plus, I think it's EX Plus, adds a sunroof in the Sorento. If you get the sunroof in the Sorento, the entire roof is a sunroof. It is a huge moonroof. It is a big panoramic roof. Whereas in the Sedona, you just get the traditional style sunroof over top of the driver and passenger door. So if sunroof is your thing and that's what you want and that matters more than anything, you're looking at Sorento instead of Sedona. So, okay. Anything else? We got Team Sorento, which we knew from the start. Let me just see. I think I got all of your questions here. Auto up on the windows. Yep. So there we go. One little thing that's kind of cool about Sorento, I will show you this one as I do it. If you have a Sorento, little tips and tricks section of the video today. Let me just turn the car on and you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. Okay, if you have the vehicle on, of course you have your mirror adjusters right here. If you have one or the other side lit, so again, you can leave them on. So these are to adjust your mirrors. If I want to adjust the right side, I can do that right now. If you leave either the right or the left lit up, in other words, sometimes the older models, you tilted the control left to right. In the Sorento and some of our other vehicles, if you leave that lit up, when you throw the car in reverse, these mirror glass panes will tilt down, showing you the lines in the parking spot. So you can see those lines. If you don't want that, or if you want to change it at the moment, you just turn that off. So either leave the left or the right on. And if those are on, there's your tips and tricks. If you didn't know that, give me a like on the video because that shows my bosses that I'm teaching you something that's worthwhile. But that does tilt the mirror glass down. I don't think it does that in the Sedona, but I can't remember. The Sorento for sure, the Nero does that. Several of our cars do that. So tips and tricks. Those of you that want to see lights, we usually do the lights, that's important. Rear seats, you're going to get more room in the minivans. Again, lots of tilting. The Sorento has a lot of tilt as well. These ones, of course, move forward and back. So do the Sorentos in the 7-passenger. But you're going to get more room back here. And third room space, more room again. 8 passengers in this vehicle. You got 3 behind this. In the Sorento, you only have 2 behind the middle row. Cool trick is if you don't want to pull a door handle on those power doors, just tap that button. And that's kind of handy as well. All right, we're going to turn the lights on for you all. Kia actually does a really good job with lighting. My pet peeve right now for competitors' cars that kind of screwed up the lighting is the Toyota RAV4. The Toyota RAV4 has a big lighting area like this and only one little section with one little circle of brake light. They could have made it look so much cooler. They didn't. Kia always makes it look cool. All right, headlights are on. Let's make sure, there we go. Head to the front of the car here. If you look at the front, you get projector beam headlights, which you can see right there. They are very bright as we come across the right section. There we go. You will see there is an LED lighting element right there. No fog lights on this particular trim line, but there's the headlights here. We're going to walk across to the Sedona now. LED light on this one is right here and looks really sharp. Doesn't show up great in camera, just looks like a chrome piece. Same exact headlights, I would believe. They are a projector beam there. You also have projector beam fog lights at this trim level. Again, this is a less expensive vehicle, and you still get some extra features like that. Cool looking grille. They updated that grille in 2019 with that 8-speed transmission. So if you are a real Kia nerd like me, you'll notice that the grills are slightly different for 2019s and newer, and that indicates that 8-speed transmission instead of the 6-speed transmission. Lights in the rear are still on the Sorento or Sedona here. Just a cool lighting element again. Kia uses the whole lighting element. A lot of them have like reflectors in here and they only use a little circle of light right there. Kia's got cool design in all their things. Again, second from the bottom trim line. So just one step up from the base model. Chrome strips in here, fancy lighting, body colored door handles. Same thing on this one here. LX Plus, you got chrome door handles, chrome accents in other places, and a good use of lighting in there. They sort of fill it out with the lines. Looks good at night. Specifically the Sorento and Seltos. Sorry, I just missed that question. Let me jump back. Oh, I'm scrolling too far, so hold on. Let me scroll back to the newest questions. Somebody asked, does the Sorento have parking sensors? Sorento does not at this trim level, so you can get them, but not at this trim level. If you move all the way up to the top, you can get them front and rear. The minivan, so the Sedona does have those rear sensors right here. And neither of these vehicles at this trim level have a blind spot monitoring or anything like that. So you don't have that rear cross traffic alert, but you do have those little dots right there. That would be the sensors that add the beeping. So a good question again. So again, my bias is towards this vehicle. It is a better vehicle for the price, unless you need all-wheel drive, unless you need towing capacity, or, you know, some people say I really want that, you know, nicer looking dash look, and that's certainly the Sorento. But you do pay a little bit more to get some of those things if you get same engine, same transmission. So. Okay, I think I've answered all of your questions. So, if I missed anything, feel free to ask me right now. We're at about 32 minutes. Both of these vehicles are actually in redesign right now. So we've seen leaks online of the new 2021 Sorento. I believe Kia Motors Worldwide has basically introduced that vehicle online. We are expecting a new Sorento this fall. I don't know if the coronavirus stuff has changed that timing at all, but right now we were still expecting it late this year. We don't have any paperwork on that car yet, so I can't tell you anything official right now. And but I can tell you right now that that makes this vehicle a really, really good deal. We have seen some leaks online of a future Sedona. Again, I have no information on when that's coming officially. I have no information on anything about that vehicle other than I've seen what you've seen online. So as these vehicles get replaced and get renewed, we will share information. We are pretty good about sharing stuff. We're gonna hit about 5 million views on YouTube probably this week now. So we certainly put out videos as many times as we can, and we will keep you updated on the newer models. If you are a value shopper, both of these vehicles are great values right now because they are in their final years, especially the Sorento is in its last year. We know it's being replaced for a 2021 model. So value shoppers, between the coronavirus and buying a vehicle at the end of its life cycle, you've still got a really good selling vehicle, really popular vehicle, really class competitive vehicle with the Sorento. And now you get Kia to make 6 months of your payments. I believe it was still 0% for 84 months. Just reach out to our sales team, they'll connect with you. So anyways, there we go. We are wrapping up this video. I want to thank everyone for joining us. We will be back 2 o'clock tomorrow with a whole new set of vehicles, maybe 1, maybe 3. We can do more now with our little video bay. Do they get 5-star crash safety ratings? That's really important. Both our vehicles are top marks for safety ratings. Now, at this trim level, they don't have some of the crash avoidance things that the higher trim levels have, and that's another reason you can get crash avoidance. They both use extensive high-strength steel, so in actual crash tests, very, very good. Avoidance, very good as well. So 5-star safety rating on both vehicles, and usually pretty much top of the class safety when you get all of the crash avoidance in the higher trim levels. So great question there. And I think we're going to wrap it up right there. I want to thank everyone for watching. Hey, say hey to Sean. There we go. Sean's coming in to work on our building. He's the guy that basically built a lot of what you see. So we'll give him a thumbs up. If I haven't got your thumbs up already, we'll earn that. Thanks everybody for watching. We will see you 2 o'clock tomorrow, and we'll have some new vehicles. Talk to you then.